This week in 3D printing, things got kinda crazy. We've got a metal 3D printer under $10,000, a long-awaited upgrade that actually delivered, and a situation that's got the community arguing about who really controls your 3D printer. And this is the start of something new. Welcome to not only my first ever long form, but a series I like to call the 3D Print Report, where we break down the biggest 3D printing news bi-weekly without all the boring stuff. Let's get into it. So, as we all know, metal 3D printing has been locked behind machines that cost over $100,000. But what if I told you, introduced at Rocky Mountain RepRap Fest 2026, there is a machine that might just change that? So this is the Scrap 1, and it might just be one of the biggest shifts in 3D printing we've had in a while. Because this is real metal 3D printing. Because this is actual laser powder bed fusion on a desk. So instead of pushing plastic through a nozzle like your typical 3D printer, this works by taking a high-powered laser and melting metal powder layer by layer into shape. It's the exact same process used by aerospace and automotive industries to make insanely strong and complex parts. But the problem with this is it takes huge setups that need special power, ventilation, and full industrial setups. What the Scrap 1 does is it basically takes that giant industrial machine and shrinks it all the way down to desk size that you could technically run in a small workshop. This machine boasts impressive specs like a 100mm cubed bed volume with a 200-watt laser, a claimed 99% part density, and support for materials like stainless steel, copper, and nickel alloys. And it's legit functional metal. It's not just for prototyping. But the special thing about this machine is that instead of costing anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000, the kit version of this starts at just $9,600 USD. And this company aims to bring industrial manufacturing down to individuals, labs, and small shops. However, that being said, metal powder is dangerous to handle. We're talking inhalation risks and even explosion hazards if handled wrong. So this isn't exactly your basic plug-and-play Bambu or Ender 3D printer. This puts the Scrap 1 in a very interesting spot. It's not for beginners and it's not for casual hobbyists, at least yet. But for somebody who wants real metal manufacturing at home, it could be an entry point that did not exist before because of the cost. And honestly, if you ask me, this feels a lot like early FDM 3D printers. Expensive, a little rough, not fully proven yet. But if this works even halfway as promised, we might be looking at the start of desktop metal 3D printing becoming mainstream over the next few years. So the question really isn't, is this perfect? The question is this the beginning of something huge? Let me know down in the comments what you think of this, and would you buy it? So I'm sure Centauri Carbon owners remember back in 2025 when we were promised a multicolor unit for the original Centauri Carbon. We were left waiting for months, wondering whether the canvas really would release for the original Centauri Carbon. So I've got news for you Centauri Carbon owners. Elegoo has finally released their Elegoo Centauri Carbon canvas kit. Coming in at just $55 US or 80 Canadian dollars, the Centauri Carbon kit is very cheap and cost effective. It allows the original Centauri Carbon to go from just one color to 4, and there is a few trade-offs, but I'll talk about that in a second. This not only allows the Centauri Carbon to use 4 colors to print multicolor, it also comes with features like RFID filament detection, auto refill, and even tangle detection. And for only $55 US, if you already own a Centauri Carbon, this is a great way to get into multicolor 3D printing. That's 4 times cheaper than the AMS Lite, and you get around the same amount of features. It's not exactly the plug-and-play thing we were hoping for though, as you need to replace not only the toolhead board, but the hot end fan and the front cover, some extruder components, the filament cutter, the PTFE tubes, and you need to replace the poop chute, and you also need to mount all 4 spool holders on the side of the machine. I should also note that when you install the canvas, you completely lose the top cover, so you will not be able to print filaments such as PC or ABS as easily as you did before. However, there are actually community mods out there that are printed to add a sort of top hat like the Centauri Carbon 2 to the original Centauri Carbon to be able to, in fact, print these engineering filaments. But alas, Elegoo actually gave us the canvas, and at a decent price point too. It is one of the cheapest ways to get into multicolor Core XY 3D printing, but it does have some undercuts that are notable. So let me know down in the comments if you're interested in this, or maybe your thoughts on it. Should they have released this sooner? Do we think that they waited too long? Do you think that this maybe is better than the AMS Lite? Let me know down in the comments, I want to know your thoughts. So far we've seen metal 3D printing get way more accessible, companies finally delivering on promised features, but now let's get into the spicy stuff. Because now we're getting into who actually controls your 3D printer, and this next story, yeah, it's where things get pretty controversial. Now, to end things off, I actually have some Bambu Controversy for you. Yeah, I know, typical Bambu. Story goes, a developer tried to unlock extra features on Bambu Lab 3D printers, but Bambu ended up responding with legal action. Yeah, that got serious pretty fast. So if you don't know, Bambu Lab has been in this weird spot for a while. They make some of the best, most reliable printers out there right now, but they also run a pretty closed ecosystem compared to a lot of 3D printers on the market. Here's what went down. A developer created a modified version of OrcaSlicer that re-enabled certain features on Bambu Lab printers that had been restricted. Basically, it gave users more controls over their own machine. But then Bambu Labs stepped in. According to reports from Yarsak, the original creator, I hope I pronounced that right, they issued legal threats. The project was completely shut down. But here's where things got heated, because for a lot of people in the 3D printing community, that crosses a line. Because the whole space is about modding, open source tools, and full control over your hardware. So seeing a company just actively shut that down, yeah, people noticed pretty quickly. To be fair, there is another perspective here. Bambu's whole advantage is that their printers just work. And that comes from controlling firmware, software, and system integrations. From their point of view, limiting third-party access can prevent bugs, improve reliability, and protect users from breaking things. The bigger issue isn't just this one project, it's what it represents. When you buy a 3D printer like this, do you actually own it? Or are you just using it within a system the company controls? And the timing here is really interesting, because right now, more affordable 3D printers are coming out, competitors are pushing features fast, and users have more choice than ever about what 3D printers they buy. And honestly, this is one of those situations where there really isn't a perfect answer. Do you want a lockdown system that just works flawlessly, or do you want a fully open machine that you can tweak, but you might break? But honestly, if you ask me, Persia does a pretty good job of this. They deliver almost flawless prints while being pretty open source about what they do. But Bambu should be worried, because right now, Bambu is betting that most people will choose easy over open. And the question is, are they right? And honestly, this week kind of shows where 3D printing is heading. On one side, we've got cheaper machines, more features, and easier workflows. But on the other, we've got more controls from companies, more closed systems, and less freedom to tweak things yourself. Would you rather have a printer that just works, or would you rather have one that you can take full control, even if it's harder to use? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want to stay on top of everything happening in 3D printing, this is just the beginning. Let me know if there's anything I need to work on, or if I got something wrong, and if you guys really like this series. See y'all in the next one. This was the 3D Print Report.